What is going on, my broskies? My name is Toadski and I am back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, guys, I'm going to be bringing you guys a prep guide on how to prepare yourselves for the upcoming Ambush Newgate event, the brand new ambush event. I'm going to explain everything about how to actually encounter an ambush event, and I'm going to break down the unit itself, I'm going to break down the stages, and also I'm going to break down a couple of teams that you guys might be able to build in order to actually take on the ambush event of Edward Newgate Whitebeard. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So this is all the information that you guys need to know in order to actually take on the ambush event. So, how to actually challenge these events. So, after completing a 40 stamina or higher, now I believe it also does count for 30 stamina raid bosses as well. However, the rates to actually encounter them must be like 1% or something, so I'm not even going to really count that really. I would say if you want to challenge an ambush event, you have to challenge the 40 stamina or higher difficulties in order to actually get him to show up. The higher the difficulty that you actually challenge on the raid bosses will give you a higher rate of the ambush events actually appearing. Now, you will have to challenge this ambush event with the exact same team that you used in order to just beat a previous raid boss, which is kind of crazy. So you have to build a team that not only can beat Whitebeard himself, but you have to build a team that can beat Whitebeard as well as beating the raid that you just beat as well. So this is why it's so hard. You have to build a team for two different dungeons. It's really difficult. Moving on to number 3, it does not cost any stamina or a gem to actually attempt it, which is really good. However, when you do end up clearing it for the first time, you will also get a gem for completing it as well, which is really nice. And also, when you're within the ambush event, you cannot spend a gem to revive, or as it's called in the game, you cannot continue. So after you die, you are out, you lose, you do not get any chance to revive or any chance to redeem yourself. So that is exactly why they're this hard. They're very similar to Training Forest, with the fact that you cannot revive. And then step number 5, you may also choose not to fight it if you do not want to. So after he shows up, you can either select to fight him, or you can choose to run away and you can just keep farming the raid boss or whatever you like. But yeah, these are the main information points that I wanted to get out to you guys, so you guys know how to challenge the ambush event. But now let's get into the rest of the video. Let's break down the brand new unit, Edward Newgate Whitebeard. So here he is, the man himself, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, Grand Pirate. So this guy here is a 5-star unit, and he does evolve from the droppable 4-star character. Now he is a Psy Powerhouse Striker character, and at max level, at level 99, he has 2,702 HP, 1570 attack. Now on global, he has the highest attack in the game thus far, which is absolutely mental. 1570 attack. That is higher than any other unit in the game thus far. There is a unit that will be coming out later that does have higher attack, but on global right now, 1570 is definitely the highest attack in the game. Kind of crazy. And he has 170 recovery. Now he has a 50 cost and he has 3 socket spots. Now his captain ability will boost the attack of all characters by 2.5 times as long as your HP is below 50% at the start of the turn. So honestly, a pretty decent captain ability. If you run the Moby Dick ship with this guy as your captain, you automatically get his captain ability active of a 2.5 times boost to all units, which is actually pretty good. I wouldn't say it's better than these Legend. The Legend one is definitely better, giving you a 3 times boost, but you know, with a lower HP cooldown, a lower HP threshold, but overall, not a bad captain ability whatsoever. And then his special is multi-staged. However, the final stage will cut the HP of each enemy by 40%, and the one good thing about this is it's a HP cut of 40%, right? However, it maxes at 24 turns for his Stage 3 special. His Stage 1 special is a 10% cut, his Stage 2 special is a 20% cut, and then his Stage 3, as you can see here, is a 40% cut. The Stage 1 and 2 specials do have pretty usable cooldowns. However, you really want to use this guy for that Stage 3 special just because there is no other unit that cuts HP by 40%. That is a significant amount. Like, 40% of their HP just gone in one special, but they do balance it out, making it a very high cooldown. Alright, so now let's go ahead and start breaking down each of the 5 stages of the Ambush Newgate event. So, stage number 1 is just 6 pirate characters. They don't do anything special. They have ranging cooldowns between 1 and 3. They have about 20,000 hit points. You can go ahead and try and stall here, but they do deal a decent amount of damage. The blue guy only does 4,490, whereas the yellow guys do 7,000 damage. So it really just does depend on who has the high cooldown and where you want to stall, but you do have to make sure that your stalling is done correctly for stages 4 and 5, because those are the most difficult stages of this fight. Moving on to stage number 2. Now, this can have two different variations. You have the one variation where the bazooka guy will have a 5-hit great barrier, or he'll have a 5-hit perfect barrier, and depending on which unit actually comes up, you'll have different colored attribute for the female pirate characters at the back. But the int bazooka guys had the same amount of HP, 225,000, as long as having that 5-hit barrier as well, so it is really, really annoying. And if they do get a chance to attack you, they will deal 17,000 damage to you on a 3-turn cooldown. So they will always be on a 3-turn cooldown, so you do have 3 turns in order to take them down if you do want to. Some teams can actually stall on these guys because they have such a high cooldown, which is kind of good as well. And then the pirate female characters at the back, you definitely want to try and take down those female pirate characters on turn 1, because if you do not, and if they are left alive, they will despair your friend captain for 10 turns each. Highly recommend to go ahead and take down the female pirate characters turn 1. They have about 20,000 hit points, so they shouldn't be too hard to take down. And there is also a turtle here as well, and the turtle has 12 HP and an attack power of 1,820, and that can also be on either a 1, 2, or 3-turn cooldown as well. So this is also another stage where a lot of teams will go ahead and try and stall, because you do have the guy on a 3-turn cooldown all the time, and you also have the turtle to go ahead and stall on him as well. Moving on to stage number 3, we have a whole bunch of different giant characters. Now, this stage can be a slight variation where all of these characters are Psy characters instead, but from what I've seen from a lot of videos, it's a majority of the time it's going to be strength units, but they can also all be Psy units as well. So these giants have about 100,000 HP, and if they do attack you, they'll deal 14,200 damage, and they can also be on either a 2 or a 3-turn cooldown. And then you also have the brawler characters at the back who have 16,000 HP, and if they do get a chance to attack you, they are going to be dealing 7,524 damage. Now, a lot of the times with the red giant characters on some of the other dungeons, when you get them below 20% HP, they'll go ahead and boost the whole range of attack for all of the enemies, which means you can actually get a little bit of stall off of them. However, in the invasions and in the ambushes, there is going to be no chance for them to do that. They do not activate their preemptive attack under 20% HP, so you cannot provide any stall there. So make sure if you do get them under 20% HP to go ahead and kill them, because they do not go ahead and do any sort of preemptive stall or anything like that. Now we move on to stage number 4. Now stage 4 is where a lot of people are going to struggle if you don't bring the right units, of course. Now this stage is really, really annoying. Now it comes with 6 different pirate captains. Now they're not all the same attribute all the time. They can be different attributes, but they all do the same thing. So they have 10 HP and they attack for 5,555 damage, and they are all on a 1-turn cooldown. Now, if they go ahead and attack, they will go ahead and chain a unit on your crew for 5 turns, and it does include your captains as well, and they can stack chains on the same unit. So, you know, one of your units can get chained for like 20 turns or whatever. So, highly recommend to bring a unit that can go ahead and just deal with this stage super, super quickly. Now, all of these guys have 100,000 defense, so either you go ahead and have some matching orbs and can deal a ton of damage to these guys and end up killing them off, breaking through their defense, but a majority of teams will not go ahead and do that. The best strategies that I've seen to do this is to bring a delayer to go ahead and delay all of them, and then you can take them all down within 4 turns, or you could bring a fixed damage dealer. Just bring a fixed damage dealer in order to actually kill off all of these units in a single blow. You can also bring someone that inflicts poison as well. So, someone like Don Krieg or someone like Crocodile, someone that can inflict poison to them, because the poison will actually knock out all of these units as well. And then you could also potentially bring a chain unbinder, but that is also like one of the most risky things you could do, because if they get binded, then you basically lose your chain unbinder and you end up being you just lose at that point. So definitely go ahead, and definitely one of the first 3 points, either a delayer, a fixed damage dealer, or use a poison inflictor are the best strategies. I would highly recommend to bring one of those units to take on stage number 4. And now we've finally arrived at the final stage against young Whitebeard, Edward Newgate. So Edward Newgate has 4,920,000 HP. He has nearly 5 million HP, which is freaking mental. Absolutely crazy. And every turn when he goes to attack, he will attack for 22,900 damage. He's going to be very, very hard to take down. He does a lot of damage, and he's very, very tanky. Now, he does have a preemptive attack that will go ahead and apply a debuff protector for 12 turns. So you cannot delay him, you cannot break his defense, you cannot poison him, I believe. So yeah, he's really, really hard to take down. And basically for the first 2 turns, he just does regular attacks. However, following the second turn, he'll go ahead and make his interval go to 2 turns, and then after that, he will go ahead and buff his attack up to 28,625 for the next 3 turns, and then randomize all orbs. So he does all of that after the second turn of attacks. Then, after the third turn of attack, he'll go ahead and apply a defensive shield for 1 turn, which basically is like a percentage reduction. I believe he makes it so that he only takes 10% of the original damage that you're dealing to him, something in those lines. So, that defensive shield is quite hefty, and if he does have that active, then you're really not going to be doing a lot of damage to him at all. Then, following that, after turn 4, he'll go ahead and despair your friend captain or your captain for 5 turns. So after that, you pretty much lose at that point. I mean, if you get despaired, and being how tanky and how powerful this Whitebeard is, if you get despaired, it's pretty much over at that point. Then, if you get him below 50% HP, he'll go ahead and deal 50,000 damage to your crew, and then all of your slots are randomized, including Bomb, Bother, Empty, and Size. So they're randomized to either one of those 4 orbs, and then if he's below 20%, he's going to deal 500,000 damage to your crew, and then randomize your orbs into either Bomb, Bother, Empty, or Psi orbs. So, highly recommend to go ahead and get him close to 50, and then burst down that last 50 if you guys can. That would be the best strategy I would recommend. Potentially bring some health cutters to get him close to 50, and then burst him down in 1 turn, because you really don't want to be taking too many hits from this guy. You know, nearly 23,000 every turn. It's a lot of damage, so potentially bringing some damage reducers, or bringing some way to just cut down his HP and burst down from 50, that would be the best strategy I would recommend in order to take down Whitebeard. Now, big shout out to GameWith for providing, a couple of these teams that you guys are going to be seeing in today's video to actually beat young Whitebeard. So now let's go ahead and start breaking down some teams that you guys might be able to build in order to take down young Whitebeard ambush events. So the first team that I am going to suggest is probably one of the most popular use teams that I've actually seen in order to take down Edward Newgate, which is a crocodile team. It does utilize Legend Doflamingo, and he is very, very vital to this team. Like, you pretty much need him in order to make this team possible. You also need 3-day-2-year Robin, of course. She helps with stage number 4 because of her fixed damage, and then you've got Heracles to do some orb manipulation, and then the last slot can either be Khalifa or it can be Treble. Either one of those works just fine. The fact is that if you use Khalifa, the first turn of attacks, you just want to do regular attacks and not use any specials except for Khalifa, because Khalifa will go ahead and apply a defensive shield, which means that Edward Newgate does no damage on the first turn, and then on the second turn, you activate all your specials and burst him down. You just want to do a ton of damage on turn 1, and then you want to go ahead and use your specials on turn 2, because when you use Khalifa, you don't actually have enough damage output to kill him in 1 turn. However, if you use Treble will go ahead and give you so much more damage output because he is a purple unit against a yellow unit, and if you use Treble with full border matching orbs, you can actually kill him off in 1 turn. However, with this team, something very vital is you do need to have pretty much max cotton candies on your Doflamingo and the 2 crocodiles. You can get away with having maybe one of the units with max cotton candy, but cotton candy is actually pretty vital for this team. If you don't have any cotton candy whatsoever, you actually don't kill him. You actually need the cotton candy and actually to kill this guy, especially if you are using Treble as well. So highly recommended to have crocodiles and the Doflamingo with max cotton candy, but this team actually works really well. One of the most solid teams I've seen against young Whitebeard. The next team that I am going to suggest to you guys is a Fujitora team. Now, Fujitora is probably one of the most safest teams in order to bring to the ambush event. Works very well. Now, once again, you do need Legend Doflamingo because he helps considerably with getting matching orbs. You've also got Colosseum Kobe as well. He can be replaced for just about any driven unit that you really want. He just helps with getting more matching orbs, which does make it that much more safer. Now, the 2 other slots are different slots that you can choose. You definitely need a type booster, so you can either bring Shiki or you can bring Caesar. Either one works just fine. Whichever one, you really want to bring, either one works fine. And then the last slot can either be Golden Pound Usopp, or you could potentially bring Don Krieg. Now, Don Krieg is an interesting character because he actually inflicts poison. He's a driven unit, and he's int. So he helps considerably with this event. So if you guys have Don Krieg, I highly recommend to bring him actually in place of Golden Pound, because Golden Pound is only going to be used on stage 4, and he can be replaced by Don Krieg on stage 4. And he's an int unit, so he's going to help considerably, dealing much more damage than what Golden Pound will provide to this team. So, as I said, you can bring either one of them. However, Don Krieg is definitely the better choice. And when you're actually against young Whitebeard, you just want to activate both of your Fujitora specials. You activate your Kobe, and you activate your Doflamingo. You get a full board of matching orbs. They cut his health by a considerable amount. I think it's like by nearly 40%, like 35% or something like that, 34%. And then you go ahead and use your Shiki or your Caesar for the type booster, and you're able to take him down in a single turn. Next team on the agenda is a double Inthawk team, a double Legend Mihawk team. Now, this team is a little bit risky because it does kind of rely on getting some matching orbs on your Mihawks. If you do have matching orbs on your Mihawk before moving on to the final stage, then you're going to be set. You'll have no problems whatsoever. If you don't have matching orbs on your Mihawks, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So, luckily on stage 4, you go ahead and use your Golden Pound Usopp, which will go ahead and delay them, and then you get basically 4 turns to look for some good orbs while you're taking down all of the mob characters. So that is actually really, really good. And then when you get your int orbs on your characters, you can go ahead and use your Inazuma on stage 1 of Whitebeard. Then you want to go ahead and use your Zoro to get a matching orb, or you can use Doflamingo to manipulate orbs first, and then go ahead and use your Zoro. So you got 2 times orb boost, 1.75 times type boost, and you've got a defensive shield up, a damage limiter up for your team, which is really, really good. And then if you attack and you get him below 50% HP, that's basically, that's perfect, because he'll do 50,000 damage to you, and with Inazuma up, that will actually limit it down to 6,500 damage, and then you can go ahead and use your double Inthawk specials and knock him down after that turn of damage, which is really, really good. So as long as you get int orbs on your Mihawks, you should have no problems whatsoever. If you only get like 1 or no orbs on your Mihawk, then it's going to be pretty tricky. I don't really know if you'll have enough damage output to actually beat him, but I know if you have 1, I think you'll probably be able to do it. If you have 2, you'll have no issues whatsoever. Now we move on to another team, being a Jinbei Team, and before we get into it, big credit out to Fabio OPTC. I'll link his channel down below in the description. He actually uploaded a video actually using this team against young Whitebeard, and it works really, really well. So the subunits that you do need for the Jinbei Team is Timeskip Sanji. You can use also Raid Boss Sabo, and when young Whitebeard actually comes out, it'll be double skill up. So hopefully you guys farm Sabo and hopefully get him to max skill. He actually does work with not being max skill. You can get him to like really close to max skill. I'm pretty sure you just need like 10 skill ups and then he'll be usable. And then you could also bring Kizaru Raid Boss and also Koala from Rare Recruit. Now the way this team works is when you actually get onto the stage of stage 4, you're actually going to be letting yourself get chained. Let yourself get chained, which is fine. You have so much HP that taking hits from those guys isn't really that much of an issue. And then you basically just want to keep going until all of your units are unchained. And then when you reach up to the final stage of young Whitebeard, you want to go ahead and use one of your Jinbeis to get a full board of matching orbs. You want to go ahead and use your Sabo as well, which will go ahead and add extra damage to your crew for the next 2 turns. So on turn number 1, you just want to go ahead and just do as much damage as you can with the Sabo and Jinbei specials. And then on turn number 2, you want to go ahead and take a hit from Whitebeard. And then you also want to go ahead on turn 2, go ahead and use Sanji, your Kizaru, your other Jinbei, and also Koala. And then with that amount of damage output, you should be able to take down young Whitebeard on turn number 2 using the Jinbei Team. Now, the last team that I am going to suggest to you guys is a double Cavendish Team. So, another credit to Fabio OPTC. He actually used this against the young Whitebeard raid. So, if you want to go ahead and look at that, make sure to go ahead and click the link in the description to his channel. But the Cavendish Team actually looks pretty interesting, and you pretty much do need Legend Doflamingo. He makes it that much more worthwhile. So, if you don't have Legend Doflamingo, this team probably isn't for you. But the way that this team works is on stage 4, you have the Usopp to go ahead and delay all of the pirates on stage 4. And then you want to go ahead and use just a single Cavendish's special on first turn of young Whitebeard on the final stage. And also you want to go ahead and use Inazuma as well. As I said before with the other team, Inazuma is amazing, has so much good damage reduction. So Inazuma is very, very useful. And you just want to make sure you're dealing as much damage as you possibly can to Whitebeard. And then when Whitebeard goes ahead and puts himself to a 2-turn cooldown instead of a 1-turn cooldown, that's when you want to go ahead and use your Doflamingo and your NL. Make sure you're getting as many matching orbs as possible, so hopefully you guys have some good matching orbs with this team. And then you just go ahead and deal as much damage as you can. Now, after that turn of him being on a 2-turn cooldown, when he goes to a 1-turn cooldown, he will go ahead and apply a defensive shield. Now, luckily, you should have a second Cavendish's special ready to go. So when he puts out that defensive shield, if you didn't kill him on the turn of burst, then you can go ahead and activate the second Cavendish, and you should have enough damage then to take down young Whitebeard. So that is going to conclude today's video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it, and if you guys did, make sure to smack the like button down below. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.